is fine. So we did talk about the benefits and the process of short-term rental and staging and design. But then we had a lot of people who wanted to know a little bit more and take it a step further, and wanted to know about technology and maybe some product resources. So Barbara and I scrambled together. We're like, okay, sure, let's do another really great presentation again, and let's dive deep a little bit more. Today is that's what we're going to do. So for everybody that's joined us, thank you. Grab your coffee, lunch. You got you guys on mute, but if you do have questions, go ahead and put it in the chat box for us. We'll try to answer along the way as best that we can, or save some of that information for later. We can always email you information. And like I said, all of this that we're going to talk about today is going to be on video and accessible for you to get to. In the meantime, I'm Krisztina Bell with No Vacancy Home Staging here in Atlanta, Georgia, because sometimes we have people from out of state join us. And I am an Atlanta stager. We focus on vacant properties, but there are stagers here in Atlanta that also are focusing on short-term rentals and adding this additional service to their portfolio. And that's why I'm not getting into that, but I want you all to have access to all these other fabulous stagers here in Atlanta. And that's why I brought on Barbara Heil-Sonneck, and she is with Design2Sell. And she's a good friend of mine. She's the Shareholder Creative Director for Design2Sell. She has a team, and they're one of Atlanta's largest home staging companies as well. She has added short-term rental as an additional service this year, and is amazing. Her whole team is fabulous. And I am so excited for her to share the information today. And let's go for part 2 now, Barbara, and dive right in here. And I'm going to try to monitor. She's got another team member here that's going to try to monitor everybody's questions. And let's get going. I know a lot of people are anxious.
Absolutely, I'm excited, and so excited to be here today. Thank you, Krisztina, for pulling this together. We know each other for a long time. We love to collaborate, yes. And that makes everything. It makes it so much better. Also, if you can call somebody and ask certain questions. If you are available and you have the opportunity to also show faces, would be awesome if you could, later on you can go off again. Sometimes, when you're presenting and it's only presenting against the screen, it kind of like, it's not quite the same energy, but if not, I absolutely understand. So Krisztina, thank you. I love it, appreciate it. So a little bit about myself. Thank you, Krisztina, also for the introduction. Founder of Design2Sell. That is 15 years ago. I think Krisztina and we are in this market for quite some time, have built reputation in our industry. Krisztina is an amazing additional sources for home staging and also the virtual staging. Our focus in our company is also on home staging, but we are addressing a little bit more of the higher end properties. So that is our core. I think everything 600,000 and up is our core focus area. So appreciate it. Love to speak, have been on board positions in the Atlanta, but also at national level. Published a book on real estate investing, and as Krisztina shared, started this year to focus on short-term rentals, and not only from the perspective of furnishing them and doing consultations, but also from the standpoint of actually owning and investing in a couple of myself. So we started, before I dig into some of the resources and focus area, this year purchased 2 properties. These are mountain properties, and our core focus on these is dog friendly. and specifically for larger dogs, which for us means that we have run area and, you know, fenced in backyards. The newest property we just added has like around 1.5 acres and has a beautiful mountain view. And as I said, you know, a space where you know, where the dog is, and they are sometimes like, you know, like the children for a lot of people, and they can run and play and have a wonderful time with their owners. So that's our niche market there. In addition, I'm approaching a lot of apartments, and we're also looking into several arbitrage deals. If you haven't heard that word or that terminology before, what that means is that you are actually renting a property from an owner, could be a single family house and or an apartment, or another type of property, and you are actually managing and leasing it. So you're getting the permission to lease and or sublease property. Anybody has questions later, happy to dig into that a little bit later, just, you know, to give you some background. So in our first session, we really went to, you know, the overall setup of short-term rentals and mistakes to avoid. And today we want to dig into a little bit more about resources. And what I will do and what we will do at the end, actually, I think by tomorrow, and actually we'll put all of the links on our website. So you're getting all of the product links, everything of what you see we're presenting today, with an opportunity to access that as needed. Since often resource links are changing or certain product is not available, we found it, you know, that's more valuable because you can go back there, and we try to update that, you know, every couple of, you know, every 4 weeks to see that we are constantly staying current here. So that's the plan, and we're starting in from talking a little bit about lighting, which is an important, you know, an important element there. Interestingly, now when you're talking about short-term rentals, you know, one of the key areas is that, you know, product, you know, should be sturdy enough, but also not take away, specifically in smaller spaces, from the perceived value in regards to the square footage. So whenever you have the opportunity, you know, to place something, and you could see that here as well, like on the wall, you know, saves you possibly space in other areas. The other part where that is an advantage for is we always have to think hospitality and cleaning and maintenance. So, you know, that's really the two areas. So whatever we're choosing and looking to put into a short-term rental, you know, we should consider that as well. Of course, we understand that's not always possible. So then there are also the standard table lamps. When choosing them, we highly suggest to go with some who also have an additional outlet or a plug-in where people immediately can charge their devices. You know, we know everybody, we're also technology driven. What would we do without our phones today, right? So that definitely is a big plus. And there's, you know, a nice amount of resources on this USB lamps. When we're then also looking at the nightstands and also additional product we are putting into our properties, into our short-term rentals, another good suggestion or idea could be that there's even an additional plug-in on the nightstands, and that this is easily accessible. What also is a newer element is we now have rechargeable lamps as well, and smart bulbs. So what that means is that they could be, some of them are, you know, can be connected with systems like Alexa and other, you know, internet, you know, hubs. and people can even talk, to turn on or off the lights. I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but some people utilize that as well. The other part is that some of the lamps, they are and can be rechargeable. Actually, not the lamps, the light bulbs. So if you need a certain light fixture in a certain area, and it is not easy to to place it without running a cable across, and you don't want that because that could be also a little bit a trip hazard. This could be an additional resource. Of course, we always have to consider the backup plan, and it has to be put on the list for the cleaning service that they're also making sure that they're always charged. So that's kind of high level on lighting, and I would also like to open up to see if there is anything anybody has a question for as it relates to lighting. And or if you are a short-term rental host, or you're running short-term rentals, if you have any other suggestions, absolutely, we'd like to hear that as well.
I just made 2 comments in the chat box, you guys. Amazon's having Amazon Prime Day sales going on right now. And also the LED bulbs that are rechargeable, I'm like fascinated by them. I have them in my house now because sometimes our electricity goes off, but they actually, I think, had a 2-pack that was on sale. I don't know if it's still on sale or not, but those things are like flying off the shelves. Everybody's, now learning all about, they're like, what is this light bulb thing? It almost acts like a flashlight too. You just have to recharge it, but it's great when the electricity goes out. So just FYI, I just put those 2 little tidbits in there. Do you prefer or recommend putting blue, cool, or yellow warm lights?
Our recommendation is that we're going with, I call it daylight feature, which is like, it's not too cool and it's not too warm. It's kind of like right in the middle. And the other part is, we always want to ensure that the light sources are all communicating with each other. So, we don't want to have the cool lights and the warm lights in the same space, if by any chance possible, because that in combination with the daylight sometimes does not create the effect. And we know it is so important also how people enter the space, and when they turn on the light, how everything feels. So it's all about the emotions. And if you can also make a note, in our CE class, we also have a clear definition on the lumen scale of what is suggested, that we are adding that up on our website as well. So you have a reference point there as well. Okay, great. Thank you for the question. So next part, we want to touch on our window coverings and window treatments for the short-term rentals. And, we have to think about, again, always who is the target audience. But of course, window coverings can add like an additional, feel to it. However, if we have a beautiful view in the common areas, that might not always be, needed. However, it is important to have some type of window coverings in the bedrooms. And when we do that, we would suggest that we have more of the blackout type of curtains, and or at least at a minimum, that is something we're using a lot too, the blinds. And when we're installing blinds, the suggestion would always be that we're utilizing blinds who are the automatics that don't have the strings per se on it. So you can pretty much, with your hand, pull them up and down, and then change the setting of how how the blinds and how the blinds are going. That is normally with a different kind of like little pull on the side. It's also for safety reasons, because again, we have to think a little bit more hospitality there. in most of our short-term rentals, since we are dog friendly, we really not utilizing window coverings. A lot depends, and again, it comes down because we have to sync dog hair and the cleaning element as well. So just, you know, that's, again, it depends all on the concept and your target audience there as well. Oops, before we go to greenery, any questions on window treatment?
Now, I like the ones that pull. We rented a log cabin type up in North Carolina this past weekend, and it just kind of stretches down, and then you just push it back up, and it kind of automatically goes back up. There's no strings, there's no nothing. Those are really easy.
Yeah.
It was just one or two windows actually in the place. So I thought those were kind of cool, and it blacked out quite a bit. I mean, it actually worked really well.
Well, and again, it depends on, you know, is that, you know, on the short term, but sleeping is an important element. So, and we'll touch on that later. So, you know, people, you know, there's a lot of people who don't want to have the daylight coming in. If your short-term rental is, you know, more for longer terms, you know, people, again, they want to have a good night's sleep, and we never know, what they are, what the usage is per se for the rental. If we're attracting more the longer stays, then it is often people who also work there, maybe even for a couple of months, or traveling nurses. And of course, they have to sleep at different parts. So a lot of what we're choosing on the window coverings is really dependent on the target audience. When we talk about staging, right, we always talk, you know, for whom are we staging that property? Who is the most likely buyer? When we're talking about short-term rentals, it's pretty much the same concept. So whom do we want to attract? Who is the most likely, you know, guest in this short-term rental? And that will define a lot of the different products being used. Greenery. And of course, you know, whenever we can, you know, nature is perfect. However, we always have to think too about all of the maintenance aspects. So we put like a whole segment of different succulents and fiddle trees and greenery together, which are highly recommended and can also easily be ordered online. All of them are fake, but some of them really look, you know, pretty, if you're not getting too close, they actually look pretty real. And they always add such a nice little extra to every property. So that is something we highly suggest as well. And if you have, and of course, we think always cleaning, but you know, this smaller succulents, they are a nice additional option as well to add, you know, and a little green touch to every property. And Target actually has often, you know, some nice little sets. So, you know, they have the smaller ones, you know, roughly $5 per piece. And it is a nice little add-on also sometimes in bathrooms or smaller shelves. So that can be utilized as well. And then we love also the 4 Aloha plants, World Market, and we have, as I said, we are attaching some links directly to all of the product we have suggested here, has a nice selection of smaller plants as well. Okay, again, we are also talking about games for our short-term rentals, and that is pretty much a lot of the, you know, the common games we're utilizing, sometimes even some of the game sets. You know, good to think about that we can keep them, you know, as nicely together as possible. So Scrabble is another favorite. And if you are also addressing some of the outdoor areas, you know, cornholes is a fun, you know, fun little game for the, you know, for an outside area. And Krisztina, QVC has great fig trees, absolutely. There is great resources. Of course, what would we do without Amazon, right? There's tons of additional product out there, but of course sometimes the links, sometimes they're running out, so we have other opportunities as well. As I mentioned, Target and also World Market, they have a good selection there as well. But ideally, you want to make that ordering process as easy as possible if you are a do-it-yourselfer. Okay, a couple of more. And, when you are really focusing more on the vacation rentals and or have larger spaces, we often even see like the football tables. Some of the short-term rentals even have some PlayStations and or some pool tables. So there's a lot of, different elements people are adding in for entertainment purposes. Oops. Next big part. Any questions so far? I didn't look into the chat, but I continue to to focus on some of the additional areas here as well. So what comes next are really pull-out sofas, and there are I think for the pull-out, and often I have seen even online some of the some smaller, more like futon style ones. I highly suggest to stay away from them and really look at the quality of the mattresses in there. Often short-term rental owners, if it really is about the heads and beds, change out the existing mattresses of pull-out sofas and replace it with a higher quality one, because mattresses is it's such an important element. I like still pottery barn, some crate in barrel, West Elm. They have a nice selection. CB2 for more like the apartment style or smaller spaces have really a nice selection, and in general a good quality. They're holding up pretty well. And as you're looking at sofas and the fabric, I highly suggest that they are stain resistant, possibly getting an additional coat, just so that they are holding up much longer. I know that is an additional investment, but it is a big plus for the durability and the longevity of your product. For smaller apartment spaces, and I have actually experienced that a couple of times now in when you go skiing or in other places, that you can rent out. Even hospitality has now come to that concept of like a little apartment. So you have a hotel style, but it is more like a little apartment. And to save space and make the most out of existing square footage. Now, a lot of these Murphy beds can actually be directly pulled out over the existing sofa and coffee table, which makes one space really be a dual space. And I have seen that also utilized in because Atlanta over the last couple of years has also grown, that some people are starting to build their own little short-term rental in their backyards, and it might be a studio-like setup. So then utilizing this Murphy bed and living room studio approach can actually be really fun and cute. And so we have attached, as I said, and in the link, some resources there as well. Another I found pretty cool solution are the beds, who really look more as like a console or like a setup for rooms where the bed might be used only now and then. So I saw it, and we'll put like a picture in how this really a chest on the side can also function as a bed. And then, of course, bunk beds. When you are renovating a property to make it a little bit more SDR friendly, of course, spaces like here, when we have that space around the window, could be a nice additional opportunity for additional people to sleep. We have seen now also more often that people utilize the space under the staircases as well for additional sleep opportunities. We, in our dog-friendly approach, most probably would use that as additional places where the doggy could sleep. But so both is possible, and some fun little additional elements. Bunk beds, of course, yes, allow that as well. When we're looking from a maintenance perspective, and also, your cleaners, the only comment I want to make is most of the cleaners, the cleaning crews are not very fond of the bunk beds because of, of the change, of the constant change of the bedding, and, and making it look good. However, it's a great opportunity for sleeping more people in that short-term rental, if that is part of your strategy. What the cleaning crews prefer are really more like beds with trundle, so that they can pull out in the space, more like this without the top. And again, yeah, just kind of like, since I was just reading that, I thought I want to share that as well. Mattresses, one of the really big parts, and us personal, we truly love the Nectar. They actually have a sale, I think at least in the last 2 weeks they had a sale as well. So this is a highly rated, very comfortable mattress. And of course the quality and what are the top 10 is constantly changing. Puffy is more on the high end, and a good mattress can range for up to around $1,000. And medium quality most probably runs between 600 to 800. And then of course we have some suggestions in the lower price point as well. But as the goal is always to really achieve the 5-star reviews, investing in a good mattress is highly desirable. Next point, to the sofas. Also here, part is like, thinking about a little bit on the comfort side as well. CB2, West Elm, Room and Board have some good sofas when there is the designer discount. Sometimes researching and also, of course, going on to Amazon, there are additional opportunities, out there as well. And again, we have the links of all of our sofas also added, to our list. Same here. We want to make sure that they are special treated, so that they are holding up for a longer time and are more stain resistant, because things can happen. We know. Any questions so far on product, and or any other questions on product you have before I go into tools and some of the technology?
Nope.
Oh, Amy was here. 10-inch, 12-inch mattresses. Yes, absolutely. That is, that was important. That is important as well.
And yes, Barbara, I asked real quick if you know, a sleeper sofa or like a Euro lounger sleeper sofa type futon would be suitable in a 1-bedroom apartment in the living room of it to kind of serve as both the sofa and the
and yes, yeah, the challenges with, you know, part is they have to have good sleep ratings, because that is then used all the time. If that is only a studio apartment, right? That's where I, you know, where it becomes, if it is the additional resource of, you know, sometimes it is used, I am, you know, it is not as important. But if that is the only place where people would sleep, I, you know, would highly go for, you know, for a good quality where people feel comfortable.
Roger that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm happy, you know, to look later on that link if I have any other suggestion, you know, for you, or if you want to send an email afterwards, we can see if there's anything else we can share with you later. Jim.
Barbara, can I add something else about bunk beds?
Okay, absolutely. Please do so, Amy.
So I interviewed 100 cleaners, and they absolutely all cannot stay in bunk beds. But one suggestion they did make is do not make the top bed sheets folded on, because a lot of times people will just take the pillows and the blankets and use them for other spaces. And then the effort into making them is what is the problem ultimately. So that's a tip that I offer people as well.
Absolutely love that. Good point. Yes, you know, I touched that, you know, the cleaning teams don't really like that as much. It's also much harder, and also often, and you know, sometimes they're not used. So again, good suggestion here, and you know, great recommendation when we're talking about, you know, the maintenance elements. Thank you, Amy. Okay, wonderful. So let's touch a little bit into tools and CRM tools. And of course, there's a ton of them out there. And, you know, all of them have a certain element of pluses and minuses. You know, properly and guestly, I know a lot of my Airbnb colleagues using it. The same is hospitable. Us personally, we went with onerous. Again, it really, you know, some of that is certain element of preferences and, you know, what different platforms you're using. But at least here is a set of a lot of the, you know, most common. And, you know, that is changing, you know, yearly. On, you know, what additional platforms are coming. But if you don't only have one or two, it is highly recommended that you might want to look into some of these platforms if you are really the one managing, you know, managing all of the properties. Mm-hmm. If you have a property management company doing it, then, you know, they often have their services out there. Pricing tools, which is, you know, another big part. One of the good news here, because you want to get a good idea of, you know, what is the pricing and what is also, you know, other short-term rentals, what are they charging in the area? And most, if not all of these different pricing tools out there also give you a free version, you know, for like a certain, you know, time frame, and they're running sometimes special. So you don't have particularly immediately sign up for them, but they give you a pretty good idea of what are the different price points in the area. One suggestion here as well, you don't want to only rely on that one time, but you want to, you know, really, you know, check into the pricing, you know, in different, you know, different times of the year, because pricing is changing. There's high season, there's low season, and a lot depends also on the competition there. We are kind of like constantly making changes also for SEO purposes on our platforms and also on the pricing, which also helps you for higher rankings. And if property is managed really well, it is highly booked out. We're very excited to report that I think we're pretty much booked out on the first property until January 2023. So we have, I think, only a couple of days of openings. And that is what you want. So that is exciting. Of course, people might change things last minute, but knowing the pricing and staying on top of it is an important part. Technology. And of course, a lot, thinking about remote, a lot is on, starting with some of the smart locks and the lock boxes. And there is like a high set, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Us personally, we also like the Schlage lockbox. Yale is very highly rated as well. You want to make sure that the main entrance area, that all of this can be managed remotely, and that you can also lock the property remotely as well, should that have been forgotten by one of the guests. In the apartment environment, we even have like little doorman systems where, when you have to think about, you have to let people through gates and other elements of access, that kind of tool serves like a little a little concierge service, and sends automatically information to your guest. On the video element, and again, from privacy perspective, they are on the outside. You can't really, or shouldn't have any in the inside. But for the outside, Arlo is highly ranked, but there's a ton of other opportunities, out there as well. And we also install them on the back doors, just to want to make sure, everything is rated, but not in the areas where people, entertain or spend time, just so that we have like a good view on the outside areas as well, for security reasons. I know, unfortunately, now and then there is, there's a lot of great hosts and great guests out there. Of course, sometimes, certain challenges might occur, and with, certain challenges, specifically if there's noise or, party noise, other opportunities of solutions pop up. So there are now noise monitoring services and systems which can be installed, often hidden behind a sofa. So just if the decibel of a certain noise level in a short-term rental goes up, the management company can get a notification there. Smart thermostats, because it's all about also looking at your budget and ensuring that things like temperatures can also be reset after the use. Whenever you're using any wireless devices, we always suggest that you also include a standard lockbox with a backup key, just in case there would be a power outage, and or can happen, right? There's a power outage, people still need to have access to the property, and or the batteries are running out. So there's still like a backup opportunity to get into into every property. Ring doorbells, the Nest thermostats, the Ring doorbells, that's, and or other other brands are highly recommended. Some owners also like to have an Alexa system, and or like the really like a full wireless and talkable system where you can even turn on the lights, turn off the lights, turn on the music, turn on the TV, find information where to go out for dinner. So there's all opportunities which you can or cannot utilize, to set your short-term rental apart. Okay, any other questions on the technology side.
Do you find that adding smart technology translates to a higher rental price?
Nicole, I think I would, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe not, it is setting you apart, so it might get you a little bit more bookings. I wouldn't say per se a higher rental price, because it all depends on the competition. So that's a little bit a hard question, to answer. So I think, it is something which allows you to set yourself apart. As an example, in the game area, and I showed mainly games for human beings. We in our dog rental environment will kind of like, buy games for the dogs and or a little fun element. Are we getting a higher price point for that? No, but it sets us apart, and it's also something where we can communicate and talk about it. And that's kind of like something nice. So whatever you can do, and whatever little changes you can do in the description of your short-term rental online helps you with your SEO. So we got bacon bubbles, really fun. And then we're kind of like blowing these bacon bubbles in the backyard, and had some of the dogs trying, to catch it. And or also invited our guests, if they are willing to take some pictures with their, beloved animals and share them with us, so we can utilize it for, for marketing later down the road. So I think I'm attracting that the same. So if you have the technology and you're utilizing like an Alexa or, certain fun part, it can set you apart from other apartments and attract people who like to, utilize technology often, and, trying to, to create little stories around it when you market the property. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
It also makes it more convenient having 24-hour access, sets you apart, where if you're a traveler, you may need that. And it also protects the investment property from parties and things like that. So it will diminish expenses if done properly, which can make it more profitable.
Absolutely. And that all of this, if you're really monitoring, and that's a whole different when we're talking about return of investment and KPIs, and that's, and maybe that is actually, that is actually a session we can work on in the future to really talk about, management of short-term rentals and some best practices and KPIs and monitoring expenses over time. That's where, the smart technology definitely comes in. A difference, if you can hopefully lock a door versus you have to send somebody out, you have to automatically, like if you have a fireplace, you for sure want to have an automatic turn off switch, right? So that this is not running all the time. So all of these little things, to be thought through. Same of the light bulbs you're utilizing. You want to make sure they are holding up for a long period of time. There are ones, they're a little bit more expensive, but they're holding up. And specifically on overhead lights, because sometimes, you might need a ladder, or, it's not as easy to reach to switch them out. So as longer they hold up, as better it is. And as less service you have to, service calls or service tasks you have to add from a management perspective. So absolutely, thank you. And I think, everything we were sharing there comes back to the 5-star reviews again, because that's really, what it counts, and that's really what makes you, set apart. It's really managing the expectations and always under promise and over deliver. So if you have a longer way to get somewhere, we have to talk about it. People want to make sure that, what they see is what they get. And if there are, slight challenges, you at least we have to spell them out. If there's a narrow staircase, we have to talk about it. If that is how you get to the bedroom, you want to know the location. Let's say you only have one bathroom, and that bathroom is only accessible through one of the two bedrooms. This has to be spelled out, because nothing worse than somebody gets there and then is disappointed, so that people know from the get-go what they're getting into. Communication precisely and frequently. We touched before on a lot of the automation tool we have on the CRMs. And there's a lot of things which can be automated, but what cannot be automated is really the more detailed questions, and people really have the feel that they're communicating with a human being which are cared. So as we are looking at our communication to our guests, I would say it is approximately 85% of the common questions are automated, but then there's always an in-person communication going on with the clients. And if they're telling us about what kind of dogs they have, or what kind of, what they enjoy, or why they are coming, and then we want to find out a little bit more and see if there's any additional service or suggestion we can give them to prepare them for their stay and make it as convenient as possible. What we're really doing is building relationships, and because at the end, the goal, and that is the nice part, when people at the end tell you that they want to come back. And as they come back, you can utilize and think about different strategies in how you want them to book with you. Some people keep everything on the platforms. Other people try to have and move then repeat clients over to a self-managed platform for higher ROI, higher return of investment, and additional building relationship with this client. So I think we have like 3 repeat guests, and that is nice. It's building up over time. Background check and guests, and I know there's a lot of pro and cons in regards to allowing people to book automatically and or doing some screening and back and forward, with your guests. We, in the moment, have opted in to do our own background check of guests and screening before we approve a reservation. There are pluses and minuses. A lot also depends, on your systems and how it is overall managed. For now, we find that for us to be the most, beneficial part, and we had not had any negative situation, which is nice. And again, it's not, but there is at a certain point, something might happen. We have to be prepared. Things can happen, but it, for us, we decided it gives us a little bit more feel. We can look at all of the ratings of the guests and, make informed decisions. Same is here. We got requests in for having more than, we are set up for 4 maximal guests. We have sometimes allowed if it's a child, to, and they knew that they hadn't had a bed to sleep, we approved it under conditions. But if it is more, we decided, not to have more people, because we're not set up for that, nor do we feel that we can provide an amazing experience that way. And that last point for the 5 to really get is addressing issues promptly. If the electric is out, anything is happening, we have to ensure that we are really responding promptly, and guests absolutely enjoy that. that's pretty much it. I think I wanted to keep the rest open for any question and answers, and or also invite everybody, to share a couple of more, tips and tricks if you would like to. Okay, looks like, yeah.
I have a question. What are you doing, Barbara, for background checks? What does that look like on your side?
Well, there's two ways, and there's extra tools that I have to think about that. We are looking really that on the platforms, people get ratings as well. So we try to ensure that we are also looking and reviewing the ratings. That is, it's twofold positive. Number one, you learn a little bit more about the guest and can ask more specific questions. And number two, it gives you a good feel how this guest have treated other properties.
Good answer, thank you.
Amy, any other suggestion you have?
There's another platform regarding pricing tools called alltherooms.com. It's a very layman friendly platform. I like it for myself. It has a lot of the local and hyper local markets, and you can just put in your zip code and it will tell you that information.
Perfect. And again, there, and there's more and more tools popping up. All your rooms, we will add that.
All the rooms. All the rooms.
Okay. Yeah. So that is, that. Then there are also, similar how other people do background checks. There are other tools out there which can be utilized. Depends how deep you really want to go into the background checks. But we at least have several questions going forward and backward with our clients, and also, what they are really planning to, how they are planning to utilize it, if they're working there. So all of this, helps to establish some rapport and gives you a little bit of feeling.
I talked to the agent yesterday it was interesting. I referred her, and she said, Krisztina, it's this market, everybody says it's slowing down, but I got investors that are like snapping up properties very quickly, and they're still buying more properties. They're not slowing down. But she was like, I'm trying to find creative alternatives in case they can't sell, or they don't want to rent, or maybe they do want to rent, but maybe. So tell me more about the short-term rental thing. And I'm like, okay, you're talking to the wrong person here. So, but it was interesting that she said that. She's like, I'm just trying to be creative to present to my clients some different options. And
well, if you think about, absolutely, and all, but if you think about the arbitrage, business, and sometimes, and if the market is shifting, people have done subject to deals or lease purchase option, for a long period of time. Now, since the interest rates are going up, and at a certain point, there's always, and again, it depends on the market, there is adjustments in the market also on pricing. However, we know the pendulum always swings both ways. We still see a strong a purchase in investments and properties, but we also see new strategies arising like arbitrage, where somebody still gets their rental price and they say, okay, good, maybe I'm not able to sell it now. I really don't want to deal with it, but I can have another party dealing with it. They're taking care, my mortgage payment is still paid, and I might make an additional profit there, and then decide what I am doing after the fact. But again, I know, we're just also quoting on some more custom short-term rentals. There are still people, and it's, they're buying even short-term rentals, or consider it, in the price point of $1 million. and converting houses or buying houses for short-term rental and short-term rental is not only Airbnb and VRBO, so more the vacation rentals. It can be also the mid-term rentals where it is more than 28 or 29 days and or 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, because there's still a lot of people moving into places and they need a home to stay if they're building. As personal, we're in that situation right now because we're building a house and other house sold, so we had some months to kill in between, so we moved into an apartment, or some people move into a short-term rental until they're moving to the big house. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. And you have to also think about it, sometimes even the short-term rentals are actually better managed and maintained than the long-term rentals in the part of wear and tear, because they are getting cleaned and ensured that they're always in pristine condition all the time. So just, we have to switch the head and I think a little bit different in the strategy and how that is positioned to clients.
Yeah,
I hope that helps.
That's a whole nother ballgame, because my parents might be in that situation now where my dad's like, this rent's too expensive. Everybody down in Florida wants some crazy dollar amount. And my mom's like, well, maybe we can just, when we come back down to Florida, do a short-term rental for 3 weeks or maybe a month or something like that while we figure out what we're going to do. So yeah, it does have an advantage to help people in very unique situations.
Absolutely. And part is, I think it is all about, finding solutions. I think it's all driven by finding solutions. And, same as when we're thinking about the younger generation now, right? They are maybe not as, as strong on home ownership, but they want to have something they're moving in immediately now before they make a decision, right? So it's, things are changing, markets are changing. Yeah. So we'll see this as as a great opportunity. And I love here Brittany love a session acquiring and managing SDRs. Yes, I think that could be a great one. We could set something up for our next one.
Yeah, we'll do a part 3.
Yes, we'll do a part 3. Yeah. Now, all of that is good.
You can also include monetizing your short-term rental. That's a huge trend right now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think we're talking about doing part of that as well. I don't know if there's any other, we'll definitely take note of that, Brittany. Stay tuned. Instagram. Yeah, okay. Everybody's always wondering, when's the next one? When's the next one? So I think, Barbara, like you said, you're going to have this information up on your website, and then people can have access to the presentation. I'm recording it as well. So be sure her information is now up on your screen. Take a picture of that. And of course, be sure to follow her as well. You can also follow me at Krisztina Bell. My name's got a Z in it here. I'm all about technology, but I'm also about, teaching classes and getting agents to, be on trend with what's happening with this market. If you're new to the industry, or maybe you're not even an agent, maybe you're just a seller, but we're all here to help. Amy Powers is also staging company as well, Vacation Rental in a Box. Barbara, obviously, with the Design2Sell, me with No Vacancy Home Staging. We're here, whether you're here in Atlanta or not. I'm all about educating agents is my big thing, was what I was trying to say. So in 2023, we're definitely going to do some more short-term rental webinars. I'm even talking with some people about Canva class, social media classes, and the HomeSnap app. I don't know if you agents are on here at all, know about HomeSnap. That is an amazing app. I found the guy who's going to teach the class here in Atlanta. I'm making him do a CE class. So I'm working on him. He doesn't even live here, but he is their account exec. And I told him, dude, you need to teach this class on Zoom and here in Atlanta. So I'm working on that as well, and working on a paint CE class. So I'm all about education, and that's going to be my big push in 2023. And I know that STRs are just going to become more and more popular. So stay tuned, everybody. I hope that you all got some great information from today. Thank you so much, Barbara, for this another fabulous presentation. And we'll definitely do part 3 of this. And you've got your work cut out now. And we look forward to it. Any other questions? Love the classes. Thanks for hosting. Yes. Thank you, Vanessa, for joining us. I love all my regulars coming. Thank you. And Barbara, once again, thank you, and glad to see the STR, and good luck with your building of your home and all that. It's exciting stuff happening for you. This is
Absolutely, love it. And, and again, thank you. And also, thank you for hosting and marketing.
Sure.
Love it. Love our collaboration with our colleagues, local as well as, throughout the US, right? Amy is really tackling, like the nation, and we're focusing here, local in the area of the services we are providing. So exciting, love it, and wishing everybody a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. And any suggestion you have, anything else we should add, always please reach out. We're happy, to share.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks,
For
Barbara.
joining us. We'll
Thank
catch
you.
next time. Have a good rest of the week, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.